The transport shuttle Aegis Dawn drifted through the violet mist of the Veil Nebula, her silver hull etched with the scars of 100 hyperspace jumps. Inside, Lieutenant Marcus Hale sat in the observation deck, staring out at the endless wash of color. The rest of the crew was asleep in stasis pods, their breathing synchronized with the quiet hum of the ship's AI. Marcus hadn't slept in 3 days. He couldn't. Because somewhere beyond that nebula, beyond the rim of known space, waited something that defied logic, the thing that had called to him in his dreams since the rescue mission from Clyros 9. The transmission logs still showed it. A brief pulse of sound, frequencies layered atop each other like overlapping voices. Some said it was static. Marcus knew better. He had heard it whisper his name. That was 3 months ago. Now, the mission was simple. Reconnoiter a dead world codenamed Erethus 4, chart its mineral veins, and establish whether the surface could sustain human habitation. Colonization routine. Nothing more. Yet the coordinates matched the frequency's origin point. Marcus hadn't told Command that. He just needed to know why. To the world of glass and shadows. Erethus 4 wasn't like any world catalogued in the Terran charts. When Aegis Dawn broke orbit, the surface shimmered like liquid obsidian, endless plains of mirrored black sand stretching to the horizon. Lightning licked the clouds, silent and green. Atmosphere breathable, the AI reported, its voice flat. But radiation levels fluctuate. Recommend limited exposure. Marcus strapped on his helmet, though the visor was clear. He wanted to see this world with his own eyes. The first step he took crunched, but not like sand, more like brittle crystal. Each movement reflected a dozen images of himself beneath the surface. In those reflections he noticed, too late, that the others moved a split second slower, like echoes that lagged. He froze. The wind carried whispers. Not from the radio. From the ground. "Welcome home, Marcus Hale." He spun around. Nothing. Just the shattered horizon and the long shadow of the shuttle. His pulse raced. He checked his scanner. Energy spikes bloomed deep below the crust. Patterned, rhythmic. Not natural. He followed them. 4 hours. He walked across the plain until the ground began to slope into a crater miles wide. In the center rose something massive and impossible. A spire of translucent stone, reaching into the clouds, humming with faint light. It wasn't made, it had grown. He approached cautiously, recording every detail. The closer he came, the more he felt it. A pulse beneath his ribs, synchronizing with his heartbeat. His calm crackled, then died. The air grew heavier, electric. Then a voice, not through his helmet, but in his mind, whispered again. "Do not fear, child of the brief suns." He stumbled backward. "Who's there?" The spire shimmered, and a figure began to form at its base. Tall, slender, made of light and motion. A silhouette that resolved into something almost human, but not quite. Her eyes burned like violet fire, and her hair floated as if underwater. When she spoke, the air trembled. "You came when I called." Marcus took a step back. "What are you? Once, your kind named me a god. Now you name my children monsters. I am the queen of the thought-bound, the voice you heard between your dreams." Marcus swallowed hard. "You're the one from the signal." Her lips curved into a smile that was not cruel, but ancient. "You heard me because you listened." He didn't realize he'd said it. "This isn't real." But she smiled wider. "He only thought it," she said, her tone soft, amused. "But I heard every word, human." The world tilted. The ground seemed to ripple like water beneath him. 3. The mind between worlds. He woke inside the spire. Or perhaps the spire had unfolded around him. Its walls were translucent, flowing with faint veins of silver light. Beyond them, the black sands shimmered endlessly. His helmet was gone. He could breathe. She stood before him again, the alien queen, tall, radiant, impossible. She didn't move her lips when she spoke. Her words slid directly into his mind. "Yes," she said softly. "And yet you still think it." He thought of the word beautiful, and the way she smiled told him she heard it. For the truth beneath the surface. For what felt like days, Marcus wandered the halls of the spire. He saw murals carved in shifting light, images of vast fleets, crystalline beings stretching their minds across galaxies, their thoughts weaving into constellations. The queen walked beside him, explaining that her people once guided countless worlds through evolution, teaching telepathic communion as the next step beyond speech. But when they reached early humanity, something unexpected happened. "Your kind recoiled," she said. "You feared the merging. You feared losing the self. So you silenced us. You buried the bond." "You mean humans were connected to you?" "Long ago. A spark remains in some. You are one of them." He stopped. "Why me?" "Because you still listen when the universe whispers." Outside, lightning flickered through the sky. The spire pulsed brighter, as if alive. He could feel her emotions in his head. Curiosity, sorrow, and something deeper, something that felt dangerously like affection. "You're dying," Marcus realized suddenly. "This place, it's a tomb." She looked away. "The thought-bound are fading. The young no longer here. The link between minds fractures. Soon, only silence." Marcus clenched his fists. "Then let us help. Humanity has ships, resources, science." She turned back to him, eyes glowing. "Your science cannot rebuild a soul. But your mind, perhaps." He didn't understand until she stepped closer and pressed her palm to his chest. The world shuddered. Light exploded through him. Thousands of images, thoughts, sensations not his own. He fell to his knees, gasping. He saw her memories, her people's birth among the stars, the first joining of minds, the fall into isolation when war consumed their kind. He understood then what she wanted. She didn't seek conquest. She sought connection, a bridge between her dying race and the chaos of humanity. "One mind to anchor the bond," she whispered. "Yours." Marcus's pulse thundered. "You'd kill me." "No. You would become more than one voice." He hesitated. His mission, his orders, his life. Everything outside that spire felt distant. The queen's gaze softened. "Do not decide with fear. Decide with truth." He thought of Earth, fractured and tired, warring still over scraps of rock. Maybe humanity needed what she offered. A way to listen again. He took her hand. 5. The union light swallowed him whole. There was no pain, only expansion. His body dissolved into waves, into frequencies that shimmered like music. He felt her mind intertwine with his, infinite and vast, every thought a galaxy of meaning. The spire around them pulsed in rhythm with their joined hearts. He saw through her eyes, through the eyes of her ancestors, through time itself. He saw that the queen was not a single being, but the sum of millions, each mind connected, each thought echoing forever. And now his own voice joined theirs. He spoke without words. "Show me everything." And she did. He felt the stars as living things. He heard the thoughts of distant worlds. He understood that consciousness was not bound by flesh or space. It was the fabric of the universe itself. But even within that infinite communion, a part of him remained human, fragile and yearning. That part whispered back to her softly, "Is this forever? Only until you choose silence again, she answered. 6. Return. When Marcus opened his eyes, he was lying in the shuttle. The Aegis Dawn's alarms blared. His crew stood around him, confused, scanning instruments. Lieutenant Hale, you've been out cold for 12 hours, the medic said. We thought you were gone. He sat up slowly. The spire was gone, vanished from the planet's surface. The black sands were still silent. What happened down there? Someone asked. He tried to speak, but his voice came out different. Softer, layered, as if another tone whispered beneath it. Just contact, he said. Later, as the ship rose through the stratosphere, Marcus looked out at the planet shrinking below. He could still feel her, distant but not gone. A hum beneath thought itself. He smiled faintly. Are you still there? He thought. Always, came the whisper inside his mind. I heard every word, human. 7. The new signal. Weeks later, back on the orbital station near Proxima, the scientists analyzed the data from Aegis Dawn. Deep in the recordings, they found a repeating signal, faint but structured, a melody encoded in quantum interference. They traced it to a frequency never before recorded. Marcus listened quietly as the waveform played. He recognized it instantly. The Queen's voice, singing in a spectrum that crossed both light and sound. Commander Hale, one of the technicians said. What do you think it means? He smiled, eyes glinting with something that wasn't entirely human anymore. It's not a message, he said softly. It's an invitation. When he left the control room, the signal began to spread, jumping across relays, infecting satellites, whispering through deep space arrays. Not destructive, just resonant. Each receiver began to hum faintly, as if vibrating with thought. And somewhere in the silence between stars, 1,000 unseen voices awakened, answering the call. 8. Epilogue. The Whispering Dawn. Years later, historians would call it the awakening. Humanity changed, not through war or invention but through understanding. People began to hear one another more deeply. Empathy bloomed like a new sense. The thought-bound had returned, not as conquerors but as mirrors. And on a quiet observatory near the moon, an old man looked up at the night sky. His name was Marcus Hale. His eyes glowed faintly with violet light. He smiled as he felt her presence wrap around him once more. You only thought it, she said, her voice a song of stars. But I heard every word, human. He laughed softly, the sound echoing through the cosmos. And in that laughter, two species finally spoke the same language.